guys. So in the previous class, we were discussing about anti-malarials. I'll just give you a small rundown of what happened previously because it's been a while. So Plasmodium essentially is the organism that causes this thing, what do you call malaria, and you have five different strains of Plasmodium that can cause malaria. You have Falciparum, Vivax, Ovale, Malaria, and Novelty. Now, the most potent ones will specifically be falciparum. Okay, falciparum and vivax. Falciparum especially causes a very severe form of malaria. It's also called malignant tertian malaria, whereas vivax causes a more benign type of benign tertian malaria. So, just a quick recap of its life cycle. Second, I'm not able to. Okay. So what happens is once this a stage of a life stage of the plasmodium, which is the sporozoite, enters a human, that is the infective stage to human. Okay, so and whenever a female Anopheles mosquito, which is infected with plasmodium, and it has the stage of plasmodium, which is the sporozoite in it, specifically in its salivary glands, it will inject the sporozoite into the human, and that sporozoite enters the human's blood circulation, roams around here and there, and finally reaches the liver cell where it starts to proliferate. All right, it will undergo exoerythrocytic cycle, and the result will be that merozoites are formed. Now, these merozoites, they can do two things. Some of them will move on to new liver cells and they will continue the cycle, exoerythrocytic cycle. Some of them will enter erythrocytes, which is your RBCs. Okay, and they will start the erythrocytic cycle. Now, inside the erythrocytic cycle, once they are entering into the RBC itself, there will be two prominent changes. Okay, one change will be that some of these merozoites, which have these are called primary merozoites. Okay, because later on you'll get another merozoite. Some of these merozoites will turn into a trophozoite. So all of them will turn into immature trophozoite. Though that immature trophozoite, some of them, so half of the immature trophozoites will turn into mature trophozoites. Half of them will turn into gametocytes. So I'll repeat once again. A schizon sporozoite, sorry, is entering into the human. It is entering liver cells for proliferation, hepatocytes. In the hepatocyte, it will undergo several changes, finally leading to the formation of merozoites. Now, these merozoites, some of them will enter into RBCs. Okay, erythrocytic cycle starts that way. Now, let us suppose 500 merozoites are entering into erythrocytic cycle, or they are entering RBCs, 500 different RBCs. Now, all of these will turn into immature, or at least most of them will turn into immature trophozoites, and half of the immature trophozoites will turn into mature trophozoite. Half of the mature trophozoite will assume a different form altogether. They will become a gametocyte. Okay, the function is vastly different. A mature trophozoite will continue proliferating and it will form secondary merozoites, whereas this gametocyte will form gametocytes. So ये जो immature gametocyte है जो जिससे आपको immature trophozoite से immature gametocyte मिल रहा, so essentially this is the immature gametocyte, this one is the immature gametocyte, this one is the mature gametocyte. Okay, immature gametocyte से schizon बनता, then from that you'll get your gametocyte. Now, these gametocytes have the capability of entering into a mosquito again. Whenever, let's suppose, another female Anopheles mosquito bites you, what will happen is these gametocytes will enter into the mosquito, and it will continue its sexual phase of the life cycle in the mosquito, wherein it is changing its form, it is forming a zygote, ookinete, oocyte, and all of that, and finally again you get a sporozoite, which can move into a different human and infect the different human again. Now, what happens to the mature trophozoite is that mature trophozoites will ultimately lead to the formation of secondary merozoites. Whenever secondary merozoites are released, they will end up rupturing the RBC. So, whenever secondary merozoites are released, they will tear open the RBC, just like when primary merozoite tore open your hepatocyte, the same way RBC is also ruptured. Because of that, what happens is symptoms of malaria generally appear every third day because these secondary merozoites are released every third day. Okay, So, depending on where you are targeting, anti-malarials will be classified into five different types, depending on what situation or which particular part of the organism you are killing or you are targeting essentially. तो आप मीरोजॉइड को किल करना चाह रहे हैं, गेमिटोसाइड को किल करना चाह रहे हैं, या स्पोरोजॉइड को किल करना चाह रहे हैं, डिपेंडिंग ऑन व्हाट यू आर टारगेटिंग, योर क्लासिफिकेशन विल चेंज स्लाइटली. So, see, now we have therapeutic classification bolte हैं इसको, because it is based on treatment. Okay, you are treating a very specific stage. That is why treatment based classification है here. So causal prophylactics are specifically schizonticides. They will kill the schizon. They will kill sporozoites specifically. Okay, यहाँ पर आता है आपका Primaquine and Proguanil. You will see several of these drugs being repeated here and there as well in several classes. Okay, because some of these drugs will have multiple purposes as well. And then we have suppressive prophylactics. Suppressive prophylactics will specifically target RBCs. Okay, they will suppress erythrocytic phase. Right. So what will happen is, because of suppressive prophylactics, you will not see the symptoms of malaria every third day, because those symptoms can be quite severe in patients. You will be able to avoid those symptoms and you'll be able to suppress those symptoms by giving these chloroquine, proguanil, and all of them. All right. Then we have, see, the next one, radical curatives. So radical curatives eradicate all forms. So these are much more potent drugs. Okay, these are, if to put it in another way, they are hypnozoicidal. So hypnozoids are another form of sporozoid which will stay inside your. So hypnozoids क्या है बोले तो, if you remember, I told you primary merozoites, most of them will infect your liver cells, new liver cells. Some of them will turn into hypnozoites. Okay, and these hypnozoites will hibernate. They will sleep. Whenever situation is favorable, or whenever they get reactivated later on, maybe there is a primary bout of malaria in a patient. Okay, and they get treated. Let us suppose January mein malaria hua, they got treated, and maybe by May or June again they are getting malaria by the same strain. Now there is a chance that it could be reactivation of these hypnozoites. Okay, these hibernating hypnozoites, they got reactivated and they started the life cycle altogether. So radical curatives will specifically target hypnozoicidal drug hypnozoites, and they will also act as suppressive agents. Yeah, they will suppress other forms as well, specifically erythrocytic forms. Okay, mainly Primaquine आता है इसमें. Then we have gametocidal drugs which will stop the transmission. अगर आप gametocytes को kill कर दिए एक person में, there is a very good chance that it will not spread to another person. Okay, because at one point or the other, what will happen is, because a human who is getting infected by malaria, they have several gametocytes being formed inside them. Multiple times the erythrocytic cycle is occurring, and multiple times you are getting gametocytes. Every time you get gametocyte, there is a chance that anopheles mosquito will bite the person, and the gametocytes enter that mosquito to complete their sexual phase, wherein a different human might be targeted. So if you are able to kill the gametocytes in the primary human itself, you'll be able to stop the transmission of malaria from that person at least. All right. Then the last forms will be clinical curatives. This clinical curatives भी बोलते हैं इसको, erythrocytic schizonticides भी बोलते हैं. Now these will specifically target RBC forms. Okay, only RBC forms. Now because क्या बोलते हैं, मेन इफेक्ट्स आरबीसी फॉर्म की वजह से रख रहे हैं. The effects of malaria are more apparent because of the merozoids, the secondary merozoids that are destroying your RBC. Clinical curators will specifically target those. Okay, in this as well, again you can see repetition here. Chloroquine is coming again. So in this as well, you will have two different subcategories. You have fast-acting, high-efficacy drugs, which have, they will act very fast, but they will have higher side effects as well. Whereas you have slow acting, low efficacy drugs which will take longer period of time, but they are lower in side effects as well. They are slightly safer, but they'll take more time. In case of emergencies, you cannot use these. ठीक है, अगर जल्दी आपको effect होना है तो you have to use something like chloroquine or quinine. Right. Now coming to the drugs, so I'm just giving you a brief revision. This is not that I'm explaining it again, just so that, because it's been quite a while. So upon causal prophylactics, mein, we had seen Primaquine. Okay. Primaquine is a drug that will affect. It is effective against all forms except blood forms, so it will not act against erythrocytic stages. All right, it will destroy the parasite in liver cells. Even though the mechanism is unclear, we know that it will affect the stage that is present in hepatocytes, and as it is affecting the stage that is present in hepatocytes, it will prevent RBC invasion. Because you are stopping it at a stage earlier than RBC, you will stop RBC invasion altogether. Okay, it also has the capability of destroying hypnozoites, exoerythrocytic form we बोलते हैं लोगों को hypnozoites को, in the liver cells itself. And because of that, what happens is relapse is prevented. Whenever hypnozoites are killed, you are eliminating the chance that the patient can get relapse, or relapse of the same type of malaria at least. Okay, the same organism affecting that person again. Uh, Then we discussed about main adverse effects of this is hemolytic anemia, in especially in G6PD patients, and abdominal pain and nausea. You will see that most of antimalarials have nausea, abdominal pain, जो क्या बोलते हैं GIT effects रहते हैं वो prominent रहते हैं, and they will also have nausea and vomiting. Okay, abdominal pain, abdominal discomfort, nausea, vomiting, very common with antimalarial drugs. You'll see other than that a few other forms as well, but these three, four are very common. Primaquine is unsafe in pregnancy. It can cause hemolysis in fetus, so it is not given in pregnancy. Then the next drug that we had discussed was chloroquine. Chloroquine जो है, now if you remember, I told you the mechanism of action of this drug is that it will enter into the RBC. Specifically, it will enter into the organism. And what happens is inside the RBC, let us suppose this is the RBC. Okay. Inside your RBC, let us suppose erythrocytic cycle has started, and what happens is your primary merozoites, which are the end product of exoerythrocytic cycle, hemoglobin gets converted into heme. Okay, so it is essentially using hemoglobin for its own purpose, metabolizing it for its own purpose, and this heme ultimately gets converted into something called uh, hematin. One second, it's converted into hematin. Now, hematin is a very toxic compound to the organism itself, to the sporozoite, or specifically to the primary merozoite. So the plasmodium, hematin is a very toxic compound. इसको toxic heme भी बोलते हैं. So what this what do you call uh, merozoite will do is it will convert this hematin using a very specific type of enzyme called heme polymerase. Heme polymerase. What is happening? Primary merozoites are exiting the exoerythrocytic cycle, so they have come out of this thing hepatocytes, and they are entering RBC. Once they have entered RBC, they are converting the hemoglobin that is present inside the RBC into heme, and heme is getting converted into hematin. Now they cannot stop at hematin, because what will happen is, as hematin is a very toxic compound to the plasmodium itself, it has the potential of killing the plasmodium, or it has the potential to kill the merozoite. So it will undergo another reaction. Heme polymerase is secreted by the merozoite itself, and what happens is this hematin, this toxic compound, is converted into a different non-toxic compound, non-toxic to the merozoite, okay, called hemozoin, so that it can survive, it can continue growing. Okay, until and unless it is not bursting out of the RBC, it has to keep on proliferating. Okay, if it wants to proliferate, it cannot have something toxic nearby. अपना ड्रग यहाँ आता, chloroquine inhibits heme polymerase. As it is inhibiting heme polymerase, hemozoin is not formed, and hematin, which is a toxic compound to the organism itself, to the merozoite, starts getting accumulated. As hematin accumulates, the membranes of the parasite will get ruptured, and it will lead to the death of the parasite. Okay, especially important in controlling clinical attacks, because main clinical features will appear when RBCs are tearing, and RBCs rip apart and they are releasing secondary merozoites. If you are able to kill erythrocytic stages or RBC stages, you'll be able to stop clinical attacks. Okay. Now, one very important point about chloroquine is that it will cause severe nausea, very, very, very high nausea. So, आपको क्या करना पड़ता है? It can most often than not, it can lead to vomiting. So, what you do is before giving chloroquine, you will give domperidone. Almost 30 minutes before giving chloroquine, you will give an anti-emetic drug. Anti-emetics are drugs that will inhibit MSS, vomiting. So you give an antiemetic like domperidone 30 minutes before giving chloroquine. Okay. It can also cause local irritation. It can cause, antihistaminic, it has antihistaminic reaction. It has antiarrhythmic effect, all of that. So be careful when you're giving it in patients who are already old and all right. Some very very prominent problem is also visual disturbances. It can cause itching, visual disturbances. And what happens is this thing kya bolte, its byproduct or a metabolite of it, it starts getting accumulated in the retina. That is why the patient will have ocular toxicity. If it keeps on accumulating for a long period of time, and if you use it for a long period of time, there is a chance that the patient might lose their eyesight if you use it for a very long period of time. Okay. uh, IV usage of chloroquine might cause hypotension and arrhythmia, low BP and arrhythmia. Okay, do not use it for a very long time because it can cause irreversible retinopathy and it might lead to blindness. So remember that. Then the third drug that we had discussed was proguanil. इसको क्लोरोगुआनाइड भी बोलते बोला था. So this drug inhibits dihydrofolate reductase. Okay, because it is inhibiting dihydrofolate reductase, DH dihydrofolate reductase. ठीक है, ऐसा भी लिखते हैं dihydrofolate reductase को, DHFRase. Okay, as it is inhibiting DHFRase, the result is that purines and pyrimidines are not formed. Purines and pyrimidines. Now, what happens if purines and pyrimidines are not formed? These are bases for DNA synthesis. Okay, the parasitic DNA will not get formed properly. Now, if the malarial parasite wants to proliferate, if it wants to divide, and if it wants to increase its number, obviously it will have to make more of its copies. Okay, if it wants to make more copies, it needs more and more amount of genetic material as well. अगर आप purines and pyrimidines को inhibit कर दे रहे, if you are giving a drug that is inhibiting purines and pyrimidines, you will not have the formation of DNA. Okay, DNA synthesis and DNA multiplication will not occur properly, because of which what will happen is division will fail. This will lead to failure of division. Complete division does not occur. Even in a human cell, imagine if you are inhibiting DNA synthesis, okay, DNA replication, even if the whole of your cell is dividing, all of the cell organelles are dividing, everything is happening, but if DNA is not able to replicate, you will have a haploid cell. So you will end up with two haploid cells instead of diploid cells. So that can be a big problem. Same thing will happen here, something similar. Division will not be proper. Okay, and this will specifically uh, work as a tissue site. Okay, it can also work as a blood site, a program, right? Then main adverse effect with proguanil is again nausea, vomiting, diarrhea hota. Because of a lot of nausea, patients will also lose their appetite, and as they are losing appetite, they'll also have weakness. So that is proguanil. Till there we discussed. Now we have something called artemisinin. I suggest that you open a textbook and read it once, so it will come back to you a little better. Along with this, if you hear this once, then read a textbook. It will come back slowly because we had already discussed uh, in quite a little bit of detail in the previous classes. Now, artemisinin इसके derivatives भी रहते हैं. Artesunate, you have artemether, अलग-अलग derivatives रहते. Okay. Um, Now, what these drugs will do is essentially these drugs will affect all five species, and they will especially be effective against MDR Plasmodium as well. Plasmodium, which are multi-drug resistant. In the case where normal drugs are not working, as in other anti-malarial drugs are not working very well, artemisinin and their derivatives work very well. And another thing is that artemisinin itself is given with other drugs. So it is given in combination with other drugs. So it has a much more broader and much more stronger coverage. It will also affect gametocytes. Okay. Mechanism of action is that artemisinin combines with heme. Artemisinin combines with heme. Okay, and it will start generating free radicals. So it is entering into your RBC and it is generating free radicals, specifically carbon centered free radicals. Now, what happens with the generation of these free radicals is that this will bind to membrane proteins of the plasmodium, binds to membrane proteins of plasmodium. Okay, and this will ultimately start damaging the proteins of the plasmodium. ठीक है, जो membrane proteins रहते on the surface of the plasmodium, that will start getting generated. So whatever secondary merozoites which are about to be formed, those and any other gametocyte भी है तो these membranes will start getting ruptured, because free radicals themselves are very toxic, even if they are they are, if you remember, cause of injury. If you remember, in pathology we had discussed that there are several causes of injury. Free radicals are another cause of injury. What they will do is, whenever they come across any organic matter, they will start to oxidize it. So these free radicals will do the same to the plasmodial membrane. Okay, it will start damaging the plasmodial membrane, and ultimately it will cause rupture of that membrane, leading to the death of the parasite. So it will lead to parasitic death. Okay. So once again, artemisinin is entering into the RBC. Once you give artemisinin to a patient, it enters into the RBC and it will combine with heme. As it is combining with heme, what will happen is it will start generating free radicals. A lot of free radicals are generated, and these free radicals, specifically carbon-centered free radicals, these free radicals will bind to membrane proteins of the plasmodium, and they will start damaging the membrane itself, the membrane of the plasmodium, leading to parasitic death. Now, one problem with artemisinin, very common problem with artemisinin and its derivatives is recrudescence. Okay, recrudescence is very common. Let me type it out, it'll be easier. Recrudescence. Okay, this is essentially how should I put it? It is an unfavorable condition. So Artemis sedent has a very short T half. So hota kya? Even if you are giving it, to suppress RBC forms, because it lasts for for a very short period of time, you'll start seeing undesirable effects. So essentially, the clinical effects will become very apparent even after giving the drug. Okay, because this drug will act for such a short period of time, it will only be able to stop the clinical attacks or clinical effects that are seen in the patient for a very short period of time. That is why, that is another reason why it is given in combination with other drugs. Generally, artesunate जो है, artemisinin and its derivatives, they are given in combination therapy. ACT therapy बोलते हैं उसको, artemisinin based combination therapy. So you give artesunate or artesunate and mefloquine. You give artesunate and sulfadoxin. Sulfadoxin pyrimethamine दे सकते हैं आप. You can give artemether and lumefantrine. You can give artesunate and amodiaquone. ये पूरे मिला के दे सकते हैं आप. फाल्सिको जो कॉमन ड्रग है, वेरी 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 कॉमन ड्रग इन हैदराबाद स्पेशली, देयर इज समथिंग कॉल्ड फाल्सिको. ठीक है, बहुत कॉमनली दिखता है आपको मलेरियल पेशेंट्स में. दिस इज एसेंशियली a combination of artesunate and amodiaquine. Amodiaquine. Okay. Now this can be given oral, intramuscular, IV or rectal. ठीक है, very commonly used drug. And another advantage of artemisinin is that it can be used in pregnancy, so safe in pregnant women. uh, artemisinin is generally given as a last resort. Okay, when other drugs are not working, that is when you start giving artemisinin, because it will have double side effects, because artemisinin आप combination में दे रहे, it will have the side effects of artemisinin, and it will also have side effects of the other drug that you are combining it with, especially if you are giving it with drugs like sulfadoxine, because sulfadoxine, if you remember, I told you itself is a very is a drug that can cause allergy. Any sulfur drugs essentially, जो सल्फाडॉक्सिन एंड सल्फामेथॉक्साजोल, ये पूरे जो है, they can cause toxicity very easily. Then coming to the last drug in this, we have folate antagonists. So folate antagonist में mainly आता है आपका pyrimethamine. Okay. Now, pyrimethamine is effective against RBC forms of all four species, but it is very slow acting. Okay, it'll take its time. बहुत slowly काम करता. It generally it is given with sulfadoxine. So what pyrimethamine does is it is very similar to trimethoprim. If you remember when we were discussing about sulfamethoxazole, we had discussed about trimethoprim. This drug will act very similar to trimethoprim. It also is a DHFRase inhibitor. So PABA, which is converted into dihydrofolic acid. So I'll just write it as DFA, dihydrofolic acid. ठीक है, यहाँ पर आपका आता folic acid synthetase. ठीक है, that is the enzyme that is acting here. All right, your sulfamethoxazole inhibits this. In this scenario, if you are combining pyrimethamine with sulfadoxine, sulfadoxine will inhibit folic acid synthetase. This dihydrofolated, dihydrofolic acid is again converted into tetrahydrofolic acid. Okay, using DHFRase. Here comes your pyrimethamine. Okay, because it is inhibiting dihydrofolate reductase, you will not have tetrahydrofolic acid form. Tetrahydrofolic acid नहीं form हुआ तो बहुत सारे metabolic functions will not occur. But one main problem with this drug is that it will take a very long time to act. So generally not preferred. ठीक है, आप दूसरे ड्रग के साथ इसलिए कंबाइन करते हैं ताकि the other drug will start working quicker, then you can start seeing the effect of pyrimethamine as well. You can give it with sulfadoxine for synergy. You can also give it with dapsone if you want to. Any other sulfonamide, sulfadoxine, or dapsone can be given. Main adverse effect with pyrimethamine is nausea and rashes, especially with this combination. If sulfadoxine and pyrimethamine is given, nausea rashes are very common, because sulfadoxine itself is, you know, a potent allergen. It can cause allergy like reaction. If you give a very high dose of pyrimethamine, it can cause megaloblastic anemia. Okay, so there is that problem. Generally not preferred a lot, but sometimes you have to give this. So that is about anti-malarial drugs. That completes all of our anti-malarial drugs. Only a little bit of it was left. So in the next class, we'll start anti-amoebic drugs. Okay, um, anti-amoebic drugs में तीन classes है. We will discuss about drugs used in leishmaniasis and trypanosomiasis as well in the same class. Right.